think we have Joe Stampley on the line now. Let's see. Joe, you there, bud?
Is this Mr. Clay Cooper?
Oh, my goodness, you did it. There you are. I think we hung up on you. I've never hung up on Joe Stampley before.
I didn't try to.
I've been hung up on a many times before, man, so don't worry about it.
I'm glad I can be a part of that list.
Oh, that's fantastic, man. Yeah, we just played I'm going hurtin'. We just played that song right before you came on. What a great song.
Yeah, that was back, gosh, I can't even remember the date on that song, but it was produced by Ray Baker, a dear friend of mine, and I always love that song, too.
Man, that's a good. I've done quite a few albums, and actually I've covered your "I'm Going to Love You Back to Loving You Again," and I've covered "Every Day I Have to Cry Some." Two of my favorite Joe Stampley songs.
Well, I tell you what, you picked two good ones.
I'm gonna love you back to loving me again. You know what I love about that record? What I love about that record more than just, well, I love the whole song, but the little keyboard answer. You know, the little "I'm gonna love you back to loving me again." Boop, 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 boop. That was a keyboard, wasn't it?
You know what that is?
What?
That's a steel guitar doing that.
It's a steel guitar. Yeah.
Really?
I couldn't remember what it was. I think on my record, I think we did a keyboard.
Yeah. The great steel player who's now been passed away for a few years, Mr. Weldon Myrick.
Oh, absolutely.
Played steel on a lot of that stuff, and that was him. He played some of the greatest licks ever on records, you know.
I'm telling you what, fantastic. I was listening to that record a while ago. We played Every Day I Have your version of Every Day I Have to Cry, and I was listening to it. And that's what I really loved about the records back in those days. The background vocals were such a strong part of all those productions. You know what I mean? They just seemed like they had some really cool arrangement with vocal background vocals.
Absolutely, and that record, the way it kind of kicks, you know, a little bit. And at that time, Norro Wilson was producing me, and he was such a great producer. And now we've lost Norro too, losing all my friends up here. Let me tell you, unbelievable.
Yeah. Now you were born in Spring Hill, Louisiana.
Absolutely, it's 50 miles north of Shreveport, Louisiana. It's 1 mile from Arkansas, and it's 30 miles from Texas.
Oh.
It's the northwest corner of Louisiana.
I'll be dang. Now,
where's that?
Now, when you and I were talking yesterday on the phone, you were telling me a story. We were talking about how Terry Bradshaw performs at our theater here in Branson, and you told me a cool little story that you actually played. You did a concert at the high school where Terry Bradshaw went to school. Is that right?
Oh, well, I think it's where his girlfriend went to school. He went to her senior prom.
Okay.
And at that time, that was in the 60s, and I had a band called the Uniques, and it was a rock and roll band. And he was there at that gig. And Terry Bradshaw is just a great guy. He's just a wonderful human being.
Yes, he is. He is a great dude, man. He really is. Well, what a, you know...
And
go ahead.
He's funny, too. He's real funny.
Oh, he is hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, I told this story when I went into the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame last August. You and Mo were there and did your set. You each did a set, and then y'all did some of the Mo and Joe stuff together. And I remember I did my set at the end, and I remember looking over there at Mo and Joe sitting at their merch table, way over back towards the side of the auditorium.
Yeah.
The whole time I was up there singing and doing my deal, and I'd look over there, and they're set Mo Bandy and Joe Stampley over there. I'm like, and I'm like, this is making me more nervous than the 2,000 people and going into the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame is that Mo and Joe are sitting over there watching. And I told this.
Hey, listen, Clay, you have never been nervous in your life. You are a true entertainer, and you've got a great show. It blew me away, I tell you. It was awesome.
Well,
and you deserved winning that award over there, too.
Well, that's mighty kind. I appreciate that. And I told the story when Dallas Wayne brought out my plaque, how the very first concert that I ever remember going to see when I was probably 14, 15 years old, which would have been 84, 85, somewhere in there, at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. And they at the end of the rodeo or halfway in between, I don't remember what it was, they hauled out these three or four big flatbed trailers, and the concert that night was Mo and Joe. And I remember sitting
Yeah.
up there in those stands, and that y'all were out there on that big old, right in the middle of the rodeo arena, those flatbeds just sitting on all that sand and dirt out there. And at that time, man, y'all were on top of the world. I mean, there was nobody bigger than Mo and Joe and the music that you guys were putting out. And I remember watching that concert, and you guys were doing "Where's the Dress" and "Holding the Bag" and all these great songs. And I'm like, man, someday I'm going to be on a trailer doing that. And how ironic it was that the night that I was inducted into the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame, that Mo and Joe was there doing the show that same night with us. And I'm like, man, God works in mysterious ways sometimes how that all came together.
He sure does.
It was just such an honor. I mean, getting the award, but just being there and how that all came around full circle, and getting to meet Joe Stampley out back afterwards, and just the whole bit was just what an incredible night.
What was fun to me was when I caught up with you out back there where we were, at the side door, whatever it was. We got to sing. Every Day I Have to Cry Some together.
Oh man, I have that on video, and I will cherish that for the rest of my life. I'm telling you. And I'll tell you another. My daddy used to pick and sing some at a local opera show back in Texas, where I'm from, and one of the songs that he always sang. I don't know what year you released this song, but it was his favorite song. He had this old Epiphone F-Ho acoustic guitar, and he would always sing Red Wine and Blue Memories. That was his favorite song, and I remember it like it was yesterday. When I looked up, she was standing there, pretty long, black, shiny hair. And I just remember that.
Absolutely.
God, that was his. He loved that song, and that, of course, that was a huge record for you.
It was. It really was, and I hate to keep saying people have passed away, but the great Billy Sherrill wrote that song with Carmel Taylor and his nephew Mark Sherrill.
Wow.
And he would call me up. He started producing me in the mid '70s, somewhere along in there. But he'd say, "Man, we've got a song for you, Joe. It's going to knock you down." And I would say, "What's the title?" I'd always say, "What's the title?" He says, "You don't need to know the title. You just come sing."
Well, he wasn't wrong.
He was a great producer and a great songwriter. Billy Sherrill.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, Buddy Cannon comes to Branson some. I see Buddy every now and then.
I love Buddy Cannon. He wrote one of my songs that truly is one of my favorites, and it's called Whiskey Chaser.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be playing that coming up.
Good deal, good deal, because that's a great song. And Buddy has produced and written a lot of Kenny Chesney songs and several other artists here in Nashville. He's a big producer, and also he's been producing Willie a lot, Willie Nelson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now let me ask you, out of all the Joe Stampley records and all the Mo and Joe records, the unique songs, when you set up to do a concert or you're doing a show at night, what's the one that I don't know if I think it'd be hard to say what's your favorite, but what's the one you enjoy performing the most, and then you feel like, man, this is my song, this is the one I really connect with, this is the one I really enjoy singing? What's that one song that you like the most to sing out of all your stuff?
Well, there's a couple of them, and one of them is a song called All These Things, and I had that record out first in 1966 with my band, the Uniques. That's when I was in rock and roll, and it was out as a ballad. And then when I went country, I had an opportunity to recut that song as a Texas two-step, and it went #1 in the country charts.
Wow!
So, that's one of my favorite songs. Yeah, but there's several favorite songs, But the Mo and Joe stuff, of course, just good old boys, and "Tell-O I Ain't Here, He Better Get On Home," and different ones like that. You know, I love them all. You know,
I'm telling you what a great time in country music when y'all were putting out those records. The songs were just fun. The beat was good. Most of them were all medium up tempo, and
that's right.
It just had that sound. I mean, every time I remember being a kid and hearing a Mo and Joe song come on, that Holding the Bag song, just that whole rhythm of that, you always leave me, that bass is walking. What a great record.
Walking. Yes, sir. You've got a good memory on how the songs go and what's going on in them, and that's what makes you a great entertainer and great at what you do.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm a Joe Stampley fan. I'm a Mo Bandy fan, and those records, I just love those songs, man. And let me ask you this: now, when you guys did the "Where's the Dress," and you guys made that video, which is hilarious, did you guys catch much? I know y'all caught some slack, right? Did y'all get into some kind of little back and forth with the Culture Club, or what all happened with that?
Well, the Boy George.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He went by Boy George. He was the leader of the Culture Club.
Yeah.
And he wasn't fond of our song, and he sued us because the intro, our producer messed up and put the intro to one of his songs, Karma Chameleon.
Yep.
It's a dun 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 boom boom. So it was too many bars on that song, and he sued. And of course, me and Mo lucked out and didn't have to pay him. Our record labels had to pay him. So I think he got about $100,000 for that bad, the intro being his song.
That is crazy. Could you imagine?
But
could you imagine today in the atmosphere that the country's in and the way that things are? I mean, how I guess they would call that politically incorrect to do a song and a video like that, right?
Yeah. And of all things, my son wrote that song, Tony.
Tony wrote that song?
Yes, he did.
I did not know that.
He and two of his buddies. Gosh, I wish I could think of their names, but they wrote that song, and we needed one more song to finish the album. And when he brought me that song, I says, "My gosh, Boy George was on the cover of People magazine. He was in all it was a big thing going with the Culture Club.
It was.
And so to have two old country boys saying, if he can make it with a dress on, why can't we? That's how that ended up like it did,
Oh man, what a great song. That's a hilarious song.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of great songs, earlier this morning we played Soul Song. What give us a little background on that tune.
Well, that was one that Billy Sherrill called me again. Or either Nora Wilson produced that song, I think. Gosh, I can't remember all this stuff, but the song came along, but Billy Sherrill wrote a third of it, and Nora Wilson and another guy wrote a third of it. And when I heard that song, Billy called me. Billy Sherrill called me and says, "We got a song for you," and he was hyping me, and he said, "You're the only one that can really do this song justice."
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "What's in the call?" He says, "You're my soul song." And so when he sent me the little demo on it, I thought, well, I'm going to give it a shot. And sure enough, it was a #1 record.
Mm-hmm. What a great record, too. And I'll tell you another one that I really love is If You Got 10 Minutes.
That is a great song.
Oh.
And oh, Lord, Billy produced that on me, too, Billy Sherrill.
Uh-huh.
And he called me about that song and says, he says, "Joe, I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't run George Jones down. I think he's off on a tear, and I want you to come in and sing this song."
He's on a tear.
That's how that happened. Yeah.
George was on a tear, so you got the song.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this: when your career really, really took off, the Joe Stampley, when you left the Uniques and the Joe Stampley records started, what was that like? I mean,
Well,
things have
it
changed
was-
so
I
much.
I was tickled to death to be putting out country records. And are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I can hear you now. My first top 10 country record was a song that I brought the idea to Nashville for Norro Wilson and Carmel Taylor to write it with me. And it was called If You Touch Me, You've Got to Love Me. And that was my first top 10 country record. And I was thrilled to death hearing that thing playing everywhere around the nation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a thrill to me to hear it because it was such a good track and a good song, you know.
Yeah, what was that feeling like the first time you heard your record on it? Was you like driving down the road in your vehicle and it come on? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, that particular song, it did, because Bill Mack was a WBAP in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, he broke that song for me. He's one of the first ones that started playing that record.
I think Bill Mack did that for a lot of folks. You know, I knew Bill Mack. We used to, because I was born and raised about 20 miles from Dallas, and actually played bass guitar for Bill. He started doing some gigs a little later in his life, and I remember the night that we were learning some new songs that he had, and he said, "Hey, we're going to work at this song." He said George Strait has this song on hold, and it was "Drinking Champagne." And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I remember we were sitting there working up the song, drinking champagne, feeling no pain till early morning. I thought, this is kind of a neat little song. And he's like, yeah, he said, it looks like George is going to cut it. He's got it on hold. I think it's going to happen. But we worked some of the little nightclubs around Dallas with Bill Mack for a while. I did, and then sure enough, became a huge monster hit for George Strait. And what a cool song.
I think everybody but me cut that song.
Right, that's right.
Everybody and his brother cut that song because I think one reason they loved the song, but they knew that Bill would play it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, he had a little influence, didn't he, old Bill Mack?
He had some influence. He was really a good guy, and he could any record he wanted to break, and for an artist, he just got on it and started playing it, and most of the time he started getting requests, and then you saw your song start going up the charts.
Yeah, and you know the thing with Bill, like his radio station, his coverage was insane. I mean, Bill Mack was heard all over the country.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah,
yes, he was.
Unbelievable. I miss the good old days of. For me, I was born in 1970, so the mid 80s. 80s country music for me was just, I don't think it gets any better. I mean, that for me, that was the purest of country music for me.
Well, there was a lot of great songs in the 70s too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no,
in the 80s also.
Yeah, I of course I didn't, I was so young I don't remember it, but I've schooled myself and I know all that stuff from the 70s. I mean, I played a Merle Haggard song a while ago, Stop the World and Let Me Off, which Waylon had a big hit with, and I didn't know that Merle even had a version, and I heard that on Spotify, and I'm like, I got to play that on my show Saturday. And I'm telling you what, I was telling my wife Tina here, I'm like, Merle Haggard's voice, I don't know if there'll ever be anybody that has that pure of a just natural country voice like Merle. Merle Haggard could drop down and hit a low note that would rattle your chest, and then he could get up there high, and the way he could bend those notes like Lefty Frizzell and stuff was just amazing.
He's one of my favorite country singers of all time.
All time.
He just had that. He had that magic touch in his voice.
Yeah.
That you could understand the song by just the feel that he put into it.
No, 100%. Haggard was in Branson for several years and was doing shows here, and I was hanging out with Noel Haggard, his son Noel, for quite a bit. We would hang out and do stuff together, and I got a call from Noel about 1 o'clock in the morning one morning, and he goes, "Clay, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm sleeping." He goes, "Well, Dad's wanting to have a jam," and I said, "Okay." I said, "When is that happening?" He goes, "Right now." I said, "Right now?"
Lord.
He said, "Do you want to come?" I'm like, Well, heck yes, I want to come. So I get up, get dressed, and I drive across town, the other side of Branson, and I walk in Merle's house there at the golf course, and there Merle sits on the couch with his guitar, and he got a bottle of George Dickel on the nightstand next to him underneath the lamp. And there's about 15 or 20 people in there, a couple of guys with guitars, and I stayed there till 4 in the morning sitting on the couch next to Haggard, just in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
It was the greatest thing.
I imagine so.
My goodness. And then
I got to do some shows with him out in California back in the late 70s, and he was a pleasant, wonderful guy to be around. He really was.
Well, yeah, what a singer, an entertainer, and a songwriter too. His writing's just incredible.
Gosh, yes, he was a songwriting fool.
Mm-hmm. So what's Joe Stampley doing these days? Are you still touring?
Here's what I'm semi-retired, really. I sold my bus here years ago, and then I was just going to play golf and go fishing all the time and hunting all the time, and then the phone rings and it's Mo Bandy, and he says, Joe, you want to do? We're on our 40th year of that good old boy song, and says you want to do some 40-year reunion shows with me? I said, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call me, and I'll be there. So that's what I've been doing. So there's a. Got this written down here. I know that the 22nd of June we're together at a watermelon jubilee. It's like a watermelon festival in Stockdale, Texas. That's down by San Antonio, I think. And also on that show with us is Johnny Lee. And I love Johnny Lee. He's just one of the funniest and great. He's a great singer, really. He really is. And Johnny is still out there on the road doing it, and I'm proud of him for doing it.
Yeah, Johnny, man, Johnny is very dear to my wife and I. He lives, just a couple of miles from our house here, and we see him pretty regularly, and and you're right, man. Those records that Johnny put out back in the you talk about a great baritone country voice. That guy had some great records too. Great
records, man, and Johnny's had a little trouble lately with has to sit in a chair to sing and everything, but he gets out there and sings his heart out. Let me tell you,
he sure does. He called. What, he called a couple weeks ago, didn't he, Tina? He called your phone, and just she's like, Johnny Lee's calling. I'm like, on your phone? She goes, yeah. And he was just checking in on you. Just what was he saying? How you doing? This and that, and want to know how we were and the kids were doing, and all this and that. So I said, Johnny, you still getting out much? He goes, yeah, a little bit, and getting out some. I said, well, you want to go have lunch one day next week? He said, sounds good. You know my number.
There you go. That's Johnny. Let me tell you,
he's a dandy guy.
I'm looking down here at this list, and August. Let's see what it. No, it's July the 20th. 11th Street Cowboy Bar in Bandero, Texas.
Yeah.
Me and Mo will be there.
Oh.
And we've played that place many times before, but it's a great venue. It really is.
Well, we need to get Mo and Joe booked here at the Clay Cooper Theater in Branson. Who do we talk to about that?
I guarantee you. Third Coast Talent books us.
Write that down, will you? Third Coast
Carrie
Talent.
Moore. Carrie Moore's her name.
Carrie Moore, Third Coast Talent.
Coast Talent here in Nashville.
Hey, now that'd be fun, man. We'll get y'all to do a date down here at the Clay Cooper Theater.
It would be really fun.
Oh,
and I see another one down here. October the 12th. Is it Pearland, Texas?
Yep, Pearland, yep.
Yeah. Me and Mo's there for a gig there. And also back in coming up in June the 5th, I don't know whether we'll be performing together or not, but we're doing a benefit-type show here in Nashville at 3rd and Lindsley.
Okay.
And and then there's some dates in 2025. We won't even get into those because that's too far away.
Hey, I'm gonna give Carrie a call and see if we can get y'all down here for a date. That'd be so fun.
be great.
And the good
Be great.
news is,
Love to
Joe,
do it, man.
Mo wouldn't have to drive very far.
There you go. Absolutely.
Oh man.
Yes, sir.
Well, Joe, man.
Yeah, I'm driving all the dates. I will not fly on an airplane. I had a bad incident coming into Dallas, Texas years ago, and we started to land, and I got right over the runway, and the pilot pulled the plane straight up like a rocket.
Ooh.
And he gets up there about, I don't know how far up, and he says, folks, if you're a non-smoker, you might want to light up a cigarette now and kind of just cool your jets down. He said we had a little problem there. He says there was another plane coming in to the same runway we were from the opposite direction, and we figured we better get out of his way.
Holy.
And I tell you what, I hadn't been on a plane since.
That did it, huh? That did it.
So I don't mind driving. I just take my time. I take an extra day when I go off and play with Mo and just have a good time.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, what an honor, man, to have you call in today. We appreciate it very much, and thank you for.
Well, let me tell you something. You should be known as the Wayne Newton of the West, because or east of the East, yeah, because your show is tremendous, man. And I've never seen, you got the pretty girls dancing, you got the other guys singing, and you're doing all your singing, and it is a fast-moving show.
Well, I appreciate that very, very much. Mighty kind. Well,
it's the truth, and the truth don't hurt nobody.
I like the way you thinking, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Well, we're going to play. We're going to let you go here. We're going to play a little. I'm going to love you back to loving me again as we go out here. Joe Stampley, thank you so much, my friend. We're going to get you guys booked at the Clay Cooper Theater. How's that sound?
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Hey, I hope
sure good talking to you, Clay, and you keep up the good work out there, man, because you've got a good thing going.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
God
Thank
bless.
you.
Be safe, buddy. Joe Stampley.
God bless you, and take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir. Joe Stampley on the Clay Cooper Experience, going to play a little record right here. One of my favorites, I'm going to love you back to loving me again.